All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. Elizabeth, Jacqueline, and then Dr. Oh, it's cutting off part of your name. I'm sorry. Dr. Vimuktha. Yeah. And Kendra.
Sorry.
Kenda. It's good to have you, and Sandra. I don't think I'm missing anybody there, but it's good to have you guys. My name is Christa. And just a quick reminder, um, we are going to be recording this event. We record it and then we put it onto YouTube so other members can watch it if they can't join us tonight. As you know, here in the US, there's a lot of people without power right now, so it's good that we'll have this to kind of share and have people participate later. So just want to remind you also that when you're not speaking, make sure that you keep yourself muted. The reason is, like you've probably experienced, if you have been using Zoom this whole year of Zoom, is any little noise, anybody opening the refrigerator or turning on the tap or closing doors, or if you're like me and your dog barks, which you will probably hear at some point. For me, that does pick up and then the mic will compete. So just have that muted. Yeah. So the dog will be harmless and he won't hurt you. And that's it. And in terms of any other board members, we don't have any, but Marcia's here from the INA and she's wonderful. And I think if you'd like to, we have a moment here. If you want to go and say your name accurately, because I clearly have not done that for some of us, and where you're located, which would be really nice, that would be great. There we are. Yeah, Dr. Now it's showing your name, Dr. Avinash. Is that right? Is that correct?
Yes, yes. Hi.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. How are you all?
Making it. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Hmm. Where are you
It's a
located?
wonderful early morning here in India. I'm from Bangalore.
Okay.
I'm a doctor of medicine, and recently, from last 1 year, I have started the school, preschool. So we wanted to be giving education in the childcare. So we wanted to be INA member.
Nice. Good. Thanks for coming here early morning.
You're welcome.
Elizabeth, are you there? You're muted. There you go.
Hi, I'm here. New to Zoom. Elizabeth Ellen. I am a nanny currently in Nashua, New Hampshire.
Oh, nice. I have family in Merrimack, so nice to have you. Cool. Yeah. Kayla, are you there?
Hi, sorry, I'm taking my dog for a walk right now. She's yanking on me. I'm from California and I'm a nanny.
Nice. What part of California?
LA.
LA. Nice. I can tell with the no snow and
Yeah.
not a
Yeah.
lot of
Palm
weather.
trees and a breeze. Messed up hair. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thanks for coming, Kayla. Jacqueline, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. I am Jacqueline from out of the Washington, D.C. area. I own a Mother's Prayer placement agency.
Great. Nice. Are you staying warm?
Oh, yeah, especially at 9 o'clock at night here in the
Right.
D.C. area.
Right. Right. Well, thanks
Yeah,
for joining us. It's good to have you.
thank you.
And Lisa, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Lisa.
I am also out of the DMV area. I'm in Maryland, and I own Duchess Nannies and Domestics, and look forward to kind of just hearing how everyone's doing tonight.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. It's great to have you too.
Thank you.
And Sandra, are you there as well?
Hi there. I'm Sandra from the Colorado Denver area, and I'm on a 76-day wait to get a position in New Jersey.
Well, all right. That's awesome. Well, good. Thanks for joining us, Sandra. And last but not least, Kenda, are you there? You're muted if you are. Marcia, do you know where Kenda lives?
Kenda is in San Francisco.
California.
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure San Francisco. I know she's California. She may be, she looks like she's just on her phone maybe.
Right.
So she
I
can't,
have-
maybe she's driving home or something.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's great. That's
and
great.
somebody named Martha just joined us.
Oh yeah, it's connecting to audio. I don't want to put Martha on the spot, but we'll see if Martha is if it connects well, and then Marcia, I'll kick it over to you to just kind of give us some current events. But Martha, are you there?
Sure.
If you can hear me, Martha, my name's Christa. I'm hosting the town hall. I'm a board member of the INA, and we just went around and just said our name and where we're located. So if you want to unmute and share, you're welcome to do that. I see video.
Yes, I am here.
Hi, Martha. Where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from Los Angeles, but I'm driving though.
No problem. No problem. That's great. Well, you focus on driving. We're glad that you're here tonight. And
Yeah, I'm just gonna listen mostly.
perfect. No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. And then Martha, just if you can mute yourself when, just because the background noise thing, you know how it is on Zoom. And then anytime you want to speak, feel free to unmute. And yeah. And then the last person who just joined was Sue Downey. Sue is one of our board members as well. She's wonderful. And I see she's just unmuted.
Yeah, well, I'm very quietly in the guest room at work because the snow is coming and I'm spending the night.
Yes.
So I'm just going to listen. But hi, everybody. I'm glad you're here and hello.
Glad you're here. Yay. Sue, can you remind us the city that you're in?
I'm in Philadelphia.
I'm in Philadelphia. Yeah.
Yes.
Good. All right. Well, awesome. Marcia is going to take it away with just some current events and different little announcements that we have. And yeah, go ahead, Marcia. Oh, you are muted, Marcia.
Sorry, I was like, how do I unmute myself now? Hey, everybody. I just was going to share with you my screen so that I can just tell you about what's going on in the world of INA. So right now, our big thing really that we're all preparing for is our virtual summit on March 13th. You can still get tickets for it. Early bird is over. If you happen to be somebody, especially if you've had issues with weather in the last couple of days or still continue to, or even when you're listening to this, if you miss early bird, we're going to be willing to extend that deadline to you because we know that there's a lot of people. I see my little helper over here shaking her head. There's a lot of people dealing with a lot of crazy weather right now, electrical problems, Wi-Fi problems. So we really want to make sure that if you missed it because of that, missed the deadline because of that, you reach out to us and we will honor the early bird rate. But if that isn't the case, or this is weeks later, you can still get tickets. They're just a little bit more expensive, $125 for members, which is still a really great deal. You can get the tickets right up until the day of the event. I really encourage you to do that. I will put in the feed when I'm done talking, I will put some websites, links that you can go to see the information, as well as if you're listening to this on YouTube later, I'll have that in the information as well. So other than that, March 22nd seems to be like the day everybody decided to do everything in March. So we've got Mentorship Monday, talking about building a team. Our next town hall will also be March 22nd. We will be talking, Stacy Steelman, another one of our board members, our treasurer, will be on there. She's also going to be talking about team building, as it relates to businesses and just anybody. And then we have a couple of deadlines that day, a deadline for the Service Award PIN application and the Meritorious Service Award nominations. So I'll put links to information in the chat bar for those of you that are on Zoom right now. And for those of you listening to this on YouTube, it'll be in the information. We don't have any webinars lined up right now, but I know Sue Downey, she's working on a couple of them, and we're just trying to nail down some dates. But like I said, right now we're kind of all very focused on the virtual summit. I really encourage you to check that out. It's going to be a really fun day. I'm excited about it. Been working on the videos and putting all that together, and there's some really good information. So the only other thing I wanted to share with you today is our recent recordings. So if you've missed some of our webinars in the past, you can find them on our YouTube channel. It's at I Am a Nanny. Those will also be linked in the chat bar in a couple minutes, but these are the ones from the last couple of weeks that you might want to check out. We've got a couple of diversity webinars there. We've got our January town hall, and then we had a COVID panel, which was really exciting, very interesting. So it's kind of all I have for you today. Thanks for letting me share.
But I have definitely missed.
Oh, and I just wanted to introduce my little helper here. This is Lucy, who's going to be 9 tomorrow.
Birthday tomorrow.
This is my daughter, Lucy. She wants to listen in today.
Great. Lucy, like big fan of Lucy. That's great.
Yeah, we like Lucy.
Yeah. Lucy's a keeper.
In fact, we love Lucy.
I love Lucy. I love Lucy. Does she know about I Love Lucy yet?
I don't know, honestly. We're gonna have to watch that one. I think it's been kind of like a running joke for us, but I don't know that we've ever had her watch the show. She might need to watch it.
What? Yeah. The cookie, the what is it? The assembly line.
I think she loved the one where she's just shoving stuff in her mouth and down her shirt.
I haven't seen that one. That is precisely why we called this town hall, to tell you about the episode of I Love Lucy. Just kidding. That's awesome. Yay. Yay. Awesome. Well, as you probably know that this month's theme was inclusion. And in our INA Facebook members group, I think most of you are in there. I've seen most of you posting, but if you haven't, let us know. We can add you in that or send a request. But we always do a topic of discussion there, peppered in there, and then some graphics on social media. So as you know, it is inclusion. And so really, I think, town hall, it's meant to inform you of some things going on, but also to chat and have a few conversation points here about inclusion. We have been hearing words like diversity and inclusion being tossed around kind of simultaneously. And I think that they're quite different. And I think it would be interesting. So I would just love to open up the conversation to you guys, perhaps by hearing, if you'd like to share, what you think inclusion kind of means to you within your community. And that can mean your nanny community, can mean your work community, it can be just your friend group and or your greater community in general, city you live in. But yeah, what does inclusion mean to you? If you'd like to share, we can start there. No pressure for anybody. But yeah, feel free to unmute. There's no wrong answers. Like we say, no bad dogs. I'll go first to break the ice of that, of like, for me, I think noting fully that we have a diversity committee that I've been a part of and wanted to start. I think sometimes diversity gets used as like a box to check sometimes, whereas inclusion really, to me, means, I guess, thinking off the cuff here, of how to make things equitable, welcoming, fair for everybody, how to make something feel like an inclusive environment, to me means a welcoming, accessible environment, if that makes sense. That's how I see inclusion playing out in my community. Anybody else want to share anything?
Hi, everyone. This is Lisa. So, Krista, just to kind of piggyback off what you said, I also believe inclusion also affords everyone the same opportunity. It's equal opportunity, regardless of your race, your religion. Inclusion supersedes just someone's ethnicity. But it really is, if we're going to make everyone feel included, the playing field has to be level.
Yeah, I like that. Included, like, that's a difference between equality and equity, is like not everybody's starting from the same starting line. So it's hard to make things equal sometimes. But yes, Lisa, that's great. And Sue wrote too, somebody taught me diversity is inviting everyone to the table, but inclusion means giving everyone a voice. That's really solid. Love that, Sue.
I was thinking, inclusion is not a static term. There's an evolution of inclusion that, there's a point where we think we are being inclusive, and then we realize we're not. We need to take it a step further.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I can definitely think of examples from my life where I'd be like, oh yeah, I feel like I'm there, but it's not quite. Elizabeth, is there an example or something that you remember of a time where it wasn't quite there for inclusion, or something just in your mind?
Well, I don't know if this is going to line up, but it's a story that I'm going to share really quickly, maybe about cultural sensitivity and making sure that, all are welcome. So nannying for 2 young children, singing a fun song in the car about how a man is at a restaurant and he can't eat the soup. And so it goes on, and he can't eat the soup because he doesn't have a spoon. And I thought it was a cute song. And the children I was caring for were Korean American, and they were very confused and kind of offended because you don't need a spoon, you slurp it. And so I thought I was being great, but I was not considering maybe other people eat soup differently. And so kind of going beyond, and that's such a small example, but just keeping it in mind and kind of having that, those thoughts.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wouldn't have thought it, like, it's the connection in the moment, for sure. Thanks for sharing that.
I'm probably gonna get an extra 5 minutes.
Martha, are you trying to speak, Martha?
Plus a third item.
I have a
Yeah, go ahead, Kayla. Sorry.
no worries. I'm just hanging out. I was wondering, how can we use inclusion more in our everyday jobs, like working with children? I mean, I try and include, like, for example, we're doing COVID safe playground activities with masks, and we're trying to include new friends and different things, but children sometimes don't understand differences right away, or they do and they don't know how to handle them. So what are some great ways that we can some good signals that we can use for inclusion? Like, instead of just saying, like, I work with 2 children, 2 and 3, and instead of just saying, oh, she's a baby, what are some good things that we can say, to include everybody?
We have thoughts. Yeah. So just to rephrase, Kayla, your question is the language that you use with children when speaking of other children or other people. What are some more inclusive ways to speak about other people? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like, what are some phrases that I can work with younger children, and not just say, oh, they're just a baby, but like, be patient, or how can we include this new person that we've just met into our group? So I like to find things that we have in similar, like, oh, we're both wearing rainbow shoes, or I work with toddlers right now, so
The little things. Yeah.
It's the little things, but are there any like strategies that anybody else like uses, especially with their nanny kids in the past, and finding ways to include others?
Think about that.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to be the only one who's talking, so please, other people, feel free to chime in. I feel like, yeah, and Sue just wrote a response too. I try to ask. I tried to ask how we can change this activity so all can join in, right? And I think that that's. Sorry, I can't talk. I know. I bet Sue's in a guest room right now at her work and probably can't just probably listen. Yeah, I think that's like actually a very Montessorian thing is when you're in mixed age and mixed ability groups, that's kind of the intention of inclusion is to make it where everybody can participate in their way that feels right for them. And that feels age appropriate, where it's at their skill level and skill set. So if you're, yeah, I would say I love that, Sue. If you're working with toddlers and then here comes a baby, it's like, well, how can we maybe soften our play a little bit or lower our voices, or we could give something to the baby that's age appropriate to pull the baby into play with us. I love that. It's a nice thinking. Yeah. I also think like the difference too in inclusion per se is not so much just that we have to pretend we don't have differences, or if labeling is a bad thing. I don't think it would necessarily be bad to be like, oh, that's a baby, like, but to say, yeah, how can we expand ourselves and our play and our reach to meet that baby where the baby is, you know?
I like that a lot, because I think if you allow, like, I could even ask my 3-year-old nanny kid and ask him what he thinks we should do, and that would give him a chance to kind of come to his own conclusion and come up with an idea. So I really like that. But yeah,
That's awesome. That's cool. Awesome. Well, let me go on to the next question. So I think when we think about inclusivity, what do we gain, I guess, on a personal level, but also on a societal level? What do we gain by being more inclusive? We have so many differences between us. What is the kind of benefit and the purpose of being more inclusive?
Hi, this is Lisa again. So I hope I'm not hogging the floor here. But what immediately comes to mind with that question, two things. One, stereotypes are cast to the side, and ignorance. Those are the two immediate aspects that come to mind when I hear that question.
So you mean like a benefit of that, of becoming more inclusive, is that the stereotypes that we all hold, they start to kind of like, we start to lose touch with those. They start to lessen a little bit.
Absolutely. Because a lot of us, I think, our ignorance and stereotypes that we possess or hold are sometimes because we just don't know the right questions to ask. And it's also how maybe we were raised or reared and the environment that we grew up in. So it's not, I don't believe all of us intentionally try to hold on to those characteristics, but we're afraid to get uncomfortable with asking the question in terms of how can I make you feel included?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's interesting as childcare providers, and we're teaching children these values and these character traits that we feel are important for them to have as adults. It's interesting. I've noticed that we try to make children less self-centered and think about others, but then I wonder as adults if we we put that into practice in our lives. If we, at least as you're just saying, like we all have this, like we all have these things from growing up, and kind of stepping outside of ourselves to say, what can I do to make this person feel more included and comfortable? It's something that I feel like we teach children to do, but I wonder if as adults we practice that as much as we preach it. Yeah, that's a really good point, Lisa. As Sue just wrote, that it's hard to be in that uncomfortable space, but it is so important. Yeah, particularly, I don't know if you guys have ever been to, I don't want to say like INA conference, but just a group gathering where you're like, I don't know anybody here, or I know one person out of all these people. It can be super intimidating. I don't know if any of you have felt that, but it can definitely be. And I think as someone who I don't tend to get too, obviously, like I'm probably a pretty extroverted person, which you can probably tell, but I don't tend to get too intimidated. But because I'm aware of that, I think that finding people maybe who are feeling a little uncomfortable and trying to make them feel included, that is important to me because I've been there before. It's so tough. And Sue wrote, just for our organization, to what we gain by being more inclusive is just, it makes us stronger. More perspectives allow us to serve more people. I definitely think that for sure. That's a great point.
So what I thought about is a lot of times we don't feel like we're good enough. And so by giving us a voice or giving the other person a voice that can empower them, but it's not enough just to say, okay, who wants to share or who would like to, be included or whatever. I found that if you actually ask them specifically, then they feel more empowered than just speaking up. Even me, like right now, I was a little more intimidated of talking, but just asking them. I've been in situations where people were like, how did you get so many people to come to a meeting or something like that? And I said, because I specifically asked them. And, so they had a voice, they had, they were empowered to come to the meeting, and then they came ready so they could be empowered to be included.
I love that. It's like, when someone is going through a hard time or something, and you're like, well, let me know if you need anything. The person often isn't going to volunteer, I need this. So on that same line, Sandra, yeah, that going to the person instead of saying, let me know, it's like, what do you need? Like, how can I help you? How can I make you feel a part of this? Or I'm so glad you're here. I'd love to have you here. Or I'm so glad you came. For sure. Love that. Yeah.
Hi, good evening, everyone. This is Lovepreet from India. I just joined. Did I miss anything? Just want to confirm.
Hi, Lovepreet. No, my name's Chris. I'm just hosting this. I'm on the board. Lovepreet, where are you from?
Great.
Where are you from in India? What city?
Punjab,
Nice.
Ludhiana.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, well,
Thank you.
we're glad to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. I would love to participate as well. So hope I didn't miss anything because it's
Okay.
early morning in India. It's 7:30 a.m.
Yeah.
All right. Please carry on. Thank you.
That's great. So I'm basically our topic, our theme for INA this month is inclusion, and so we've just been kind of discussing questions around that topic. This one in particular was just, what do we gain, perhaps as an organization, but perhaps as individuals, perhaps as just society? What do we gain by being more inclusive of one
Right.
another? Yeah,
Understand. Thank you.
absolutely. Thanks for introducing yourself.
Thank you so much.
And lastly, I think like for what we gain by being more inclusive is, like INA's theme a couple years ago was unity. And I don't really think that there is unity without justice and without equity, without not things all being perfectly equal, like the analogy of someone who's walking with, well, anyway, I won't go there, but I'm just saying, I think that if we want to be a unified INA or a unified United States or what have you, I think it's really important that we become more inclusive. And that goes along with what Kayla was saying, to change our language. And I think if you're working with toddlers and changing your language with infants, that's important. If you're working with adults and you're care providing in a different capacity, or working with teenagers, how can you, especially if you're a nanny or a caregiver, or a child caregiver, teenagers, they're still kids. I think that we can gain unity by being more inclusive and understanding of people of backgrounds that are different from ours. I think that that's extremely important. Like with inclusivity comes unity. Cool. All right. So this one is a little bit more, how would I say, like a little bit more self-reflective. And that is to say, how can we become more aware of our own struggles to be more inclusive? So thinking about where it's challenging for us to be that inclusive individual, how do we just kind of tune into the awareness of ourself? That makes sense.
So we are supposed to participate, Krista?
Yes, sure. Go ahead if you have any thoughts on that. That's great.
So awareness in respect to the caregiver or anything?
I think anything really. I mean, because so
Mhm.
much of our caregiving just comes from who we are.
I
Right.
understand. So
Yeah.
first, I believe introspection is very important. One should, thoroughly think about it, his weakness and strength. Then he or she must aware about the surroundings and psychological impacts of others, what people or students or to whom he or she is taking care of. He or she must judge it, sense it. Great sense of judgment is very important, I guess, to get the insight of this thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're saying gaining insight of yourself. And Lovepreet, how do you feel that you gain, well, if you do this, what are some personal practices that you have to gain more awareness of yourself? That makes sense. If you want to share any of those, not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, self-awareness is very important. We need to, I mean, one has to identify his, positive and negatives. Before caring others, one must need to inculcate, that kind of nature. The service should be there from the heart.
Yeah. Like checking your motivation from the heart.
Yeah, and after that, the sense of judging things, like sense of judging emotions. So one has to be, that level of emotional, mind setup, so that one can care others with the feelings from the heart. Maybe I'm wrong, but what I think.
No. Yeah, that's great. There's really no wrong answers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Does anybody else have practices or things they do to kind of, I guess, pay attention to any struggle that you have with being inclusive? If you've struggled with that before, none of you guys were ever the bullies in school, right? You included everybody. Everybody could sit with you. I'm saying that with sarcasm because that's just impossible. Maybe there's one of you out there, of course. But as adults, yeah, thinking about that, how do we kind of expand our understanding of that ourselves? Does anybody else want to share anything else? Yeah, Kayla, go ahead. I see your hand. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't want to take all the time.
No. Anybody is free to unmute and go for it.
So I moved to LA from Seattle about a year and a half ago, and it's definitely a lot more culturally diverse here. And so with that, I've come into finding new foods. I've met new people, all of different, like to speak different languages. And something that I work with my families with that I've had is just even learning languages or trying new foods or doing like different tradition, like celebrating different traditions from different cultures, and incorporating that into like our curriculum. and our daily activities, so that we're always learning something new. And part of it also is just having another person in the house. Like if there's a housekeeper that speaks Spanish, I'm going to learn how to speak Spanish so I can make her feel comfortable. And it's something that's hard for me because I'm like, I don't know how to pronounce everything correctly, but she really appreciates it. And then we both teach the kids Spanish at the same time because she's there so much. And it's just something that I think is really, really important, so that everybody in the household feels respected and like in a safe space.
Yeah, I love that. Just showing that every person on the team is valuable in the household. And, I think just that effort, even if you learn a few phrases, it's like, oh, I'm valued
Yeah.
here as, as a valuable member. I'm not that that individual has to always conform to the culture in the home, but that the home is expanding to be inclusive as well. That's pretty great. I love that.
Yeah, I love it too. Thanks.
Great. Well, so Kayla just touched a little bit on that. She just gave a good example of something to this effect. But when you think about this, what can we kind of do here to expand our understanding of inclusivity? So, meaning our understanding of the concept, not necessarily just how we practice it, but are there things that we can do specifically even for here at INA to expand our understanding of what it means to be an inclusive organization where everybody can feel welcomed and under the umbrella of childcare provider? Kim, I see you there. I don't know if you can talk, but hi. Hope you're feeling
I was just about to unmute myself.
Oh, nice.
The thing is, for me, is asking more questions. Because race is a very strong topic, and especially for a person of color, myself, like I find like a lot of people, and I know Sue tend to do this a lot often, and I always tell her it's not being offensive. She's doing the right thing by asking, how do people want to be identified? Because now we have that the amount of terminology, whether it's BIPOC, person of color. For me, preferably, I'm Black, that's how I look at myself. So if you don't feel like at any point in time you have to tiptoe around saying Black around me. My thing is, don't refer to me as colored, because that's offensive.
Right.
So like, I know prefer to be called a BIPOC. I mean, I don't see any part of me that's indigenous. So like, I identify as Black. There are other things that people would say, and I'm glad that with everything that happened with George Floyd and all of that, I mean, like, they're asking more questions because they want to be more aware, and that they don't offend anyone. I know personally for me, with my son, because I work for predominantly white families, and I usually take him to work sometimes with me when he was younger. And that was one of his questions, like, why doesn't Ali look like me? He's Black, my child is white. And that was like a whole teaching moment for me. So like, he asked questions instead of passing judgment. He asked why he doesn't look like him. And I explained that to him, that people come in different colors doesn't mean that we are not the same, because and I use the example as if I were to take a knife and cut him and then cut Ali, he's gonna see the same color blood. So our skin is different because of our pigment, or there's what we got. So it went into a whole different complicated topic of melanin and stuff. But he was smart at he kind of did the explanation. And I said to him, we are one. We are all humans. We are one. So doesn't because someone may look differently than you, that doesn't mean the person's not the same, you know. And like I realized in that moment that that was the very first white person he's meeting for his life. Like he's seen it on TV,
Right.
that was the person he was meeting in person. So my thing is ask questions.
That's great. I mean, think about the toddlerhood stage and then the early childhood stage where they're constantly asking why. They have no filter. And I'm not saying that we as adults should have no filter, or that we should ask questions that perhaps we should Google first, maybe a little bit. But Kim, yeah, to your point, I love that, where we're getting curious, we're not assuming. um, Getting curious with trusted people is also, no one likes to feel like sticking out like a sore thumb. And then if all of a sudden everybody's asking you the questions because you're a Black woman in the room, like that, I don't know how you feel because you're very open, Kim. But I can imagine for a lot of people, if you're the only elderly person in the room, then it's like, and everybody's asking you the questions because they're old. I think there's like a nice balance of acknowledging the humanity that we all have without imposing, if that makes sense. Not assuming, not assuming, but yeah, I think it's really fascinating. I love that you went there with your son, and I love that there was no bad questions. It was, here's some science for you, and then it evolved into something else. That's great. Yeah. Well, and we can't learn unless we ask, you know. I think that that's really important. And I think to Kim's point, yeah, particularly in the United States, and I know it went a little bit worldwide, but in the United States, when we had a lot of awareness brought to inequitable deaths, particularly among the Black community, there were a lot of conversations that were being held and that are still being held. So I think rather than me going to Kim all the time with my questions, I can attend a webinar with INA and then see what I learn in my own research, and then go to Kim and digest a little bit, or a friend that might not have the same background or the same age or race, or even born in the same location as me. It's always good to have that.
One thing I like about Sue, she always like, and that's like a part of me too. Like if I'm about to say something and I think it might offend the person, I'll apologize first, and then that's what I'm about. And Sue's a master of that. Like she's like, please forgive me. I don't know how to say this, but I might say it and it might come off wrong, and I don't mean to offend you. So I'm still struggling, and I love her for that, because she's not fake, like some of the people, they'll come and you just, like, I just look at them and I'm like, okay, I know this is not genuine, but when Sue does it, it's like, I know and she just doesn't want to offend you. She just wants to say the right thing. And I always say to her, well, you don't have to tiptoe around me. You can keep it 100. I said, what you do is going to be offensive to me until you don't use the word colored. That's my whole thing. Don't ever use that word with me. But I'm pretty open. I mean, some things that people ask and I answer, like some of the people find that offensive, but like I said, it's a teaching moment. You don't know, you want to learn, and I'm going to answer your question any which way I can.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say, hey, there's some research, go read that, like what I did with my son. And that's something that all my employers love, is they like that, that I'm open about teaching their children about it.
Nice. Yeah. Have any of you ever run into issues when you're caring for children and you're trying to teach the children, not necessarily about backgrounds that are different from yours, but they notice something like Kim's son did, and they notice a difference or anything like that, and they ask about it, have you ever had a family, I guess maybe a better question, I'm just coming with this question off the top of my head, but how do you handle that with the family? And have you ever had a family who wanted you to gloss over differences between their child and another child or other people? Have you ever had a family that was just not wanting you to tiptoe into any, to put your toes into any topics that might potentially be uncomfortable because, God forbid we acknowledge that we have differences. Has anybody experienced that at all? Issues with inclusivity in your nanny family? I don't know if anybody else um, who hasn't. I don't want to feel like I'm going to put anybody on the spot, but if you want to share, there's, like I said, no wrong answers. I'm just curious if nannying, you guys have been caring for kids, you've experienced this with parents. You guys all have awesome bosses. Oh, Kayla, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, please.
I know I'm young. I've had a lot of nanny experience over the years, and a lot of times families will be uncomfortable with certain situations and they'll ask me how to work with the child on it, or what books we should get, or how to answer the questions with the child. Um, and specific families, like they weren't educated in how to explain it. And so just like asking for those resources. And then also, and there's a lot of really cool books, especially for younger kids out there, and even older kids that I really, really adore. Um, but yeah, that's like the biggest thing is parents kind of want you to just kind of handle it for them. They're like, so if they ask about this, can you just give them an explanation because they asked about it this weekend and I didn't know how to explain.
That's great that they're seeing you as an equal, not just equal partner, but someone who has the wisdom to kind of tackle some of those topics with them together. They're not silencing you or pushing that aside or pretending that their child didn't say this or notice that. That's great.
Yeah, I don't think I've worked with a family that's tried to silence those things. That would be very difficult for me. Honestly, on a personal level.
Yeah. Has anybody experienced the inverse of that where the families just wanted to gloss over any?
Yeah, so currently I struggle a lot with my nanny family, and they are, so every family has their own family culture, and that comes with a lot of things, religion and where they're from and everything. And so they want their children brought up in a certain way. And in my eyes, maybe that's not inclusive or that's not respectful of all people. And so something that I kind of, my go-to is that we are all people, we are all important, and just kind of leave it at that very basic, basic explanation. Even though on the inside, when I hear my little girl say something, I want to say that is not true, but that's her culture, like even if I think that's not true, that's how they want to raise their children. And so I struggle with it personally, regularly, but we are all people, we are all important.
I love that. Yeah, I also think kids learn from your example, right? So you could talk their ear off all day long about why what their parents are telling them is wrong or inaccurate about other people. And, maybe you feel the need to do that. That's, there's some things, of course, that's so important to stick up for someone's humanity. But in general, yeah, seeing your example and then that, I love that. It's like a mantra of just repeated in your mind of that reminder. That's great. Martha, did you unmute? Did you want to share there, Martha? Maybe. Oh,
Did I unmute? Are you listening?
I hear you, Martha. Go ahead.
I'm just listening to all of the comments about the inclusive, and I agree with everyone with different religion, even though if you don't agree with the comments or whatever treating about a person or race or color or whatever, even though if I'm not like I don't want to get into detail, but respect whatever the family think of, whether I'm not like if they're mistreating someone or whatever, like, or teach the kids that everyone is unique and we have to respect each other in regards to religion or even fat, thin, or the look of the people. You have to be more empathic. Like that's my thought. And thank you for everything. I'm just listening, but as I told you, I was driving and I just got home, but a little busy. But I'm glad I enjoy. I got into the meeting. Thank you so much.
I'm so glad you came today. It's great, Martha. Look, you got to show up when you can, right? If
Yeah.
you've got 10%, you've got 10%. If you got 100%, you got 100%. Whatever you have, it's great. Thank you for sharing that, though, Martha. I'm glad.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
I really like what Martha said about like modeling the behavior that you want. I had a nanny family that did not model the behavior, but they preached the behavior. And it would come up in weird little ways. Like the child who was older would make a comment that was derogatory or racist towards a group of people and not understand why. And so my challenge to him was always to ask him, well, why do you think that? Like, what's your thought process that's going on? I mean, obviously with like a little toddler or a different age group, you can't ask the same thing. But I started to notice the longer I worked for them that there were comments about different people that worked in the household or different races of people, different groups. And it was really shocking to me because they were very liberal and very like, just like down to earth. But then things would come out with their children. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they must say these things in private. And it was really astounding to me. And so I think modeling the behavior is so important.
When you look at the research of it's called, it's, I don't know the exact, it's escaping me, but it's a child's ability to have differentiation and preference based on appearance. It starts so extremely young and it's unavoidable, even if the parents are the most affirming and inclusive family. So I think it's super crucial to, if they're preaching that, it's yeah. Sandra, did you unmute? Did you want to say something?
Yeah. Yeah. I had a nanny family that was very wealthy, and you could definitely tell from the conversations of the children that money was of great value, and they would have somebody that they considered unwealthy come to their home, but they were not allowed to go to those children's homes. You could tell from their play. We did a lot of like just fantasy type play and stuff, that they always included wealth into those plays. And so I had to put it upon myself to make sure that it was an inclusive, that it was very equal, in that yes, money is nice, but it's not everything. And I had to include things about like feelings, because they would say things about kids at school, and and how would that person feel if you said that to them and stuff, because they would just openly say things to me about wealth, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I hope they're not saying these things to other kids.
Yeah. Money is the one thing that makes everybody uncomfortable. And it's so fascinating that seems to start when kids are young. It's really
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I even hear with especially the mother. I mean, most of the conversations is about how much money, that she spends on the girls, or how much, it's always about the first class flights and, going, flight, just taking trips. And I mean, it's all about that. Whereas the other kids that I've taken care of, those conversations are not even there at all.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that, Sandra. The last question before, because we're about to wrap up, but just on a positive note, when you think, if there's something, you know, quickly that you think of that if you haven't shared something that you're doing toward positively impacting inclusion, if you haven't shared and you want to share, what is something that we can do to positively impact inclusion? Again, it can be at INA, but more broadly, because INA is this small thing in such a large industry and world and in your community. What are some things you think that you can do to positively impact inclusion and grow it? Anybody? We've said some really good things on this call. Books, conversations, asking questions, being welcoming, getting uncomfortable. Those are all really crucial things, like doing your own research, trying to understand a different person's perspective. Those are all things that we brought up in this nice hour call here, of just ways that definitely can positively impact inclusion. But so just to summarize that.
Hi, I'd like to say something. This is Jacqueline.
Hi, Jacqueline.
Hi. So I'm not positive I can articulate it, but I'll try my best. I think one of the ways we can impact is maybe somehow tweaking or adjusting environments and atmospheres, because there are often times that, you can go into a home and of course that home is going to be tailored to your preference, because that's where you live. And
Right.
but you may have a guest over that's totally different, and sometimes you may want to bring something that's from their culture there just to make them feel comfortable. So when I think of big groups, I think of the fact that most of the time these groups are catering to a whole, and that can not be inclusive sometimes, because the whole is kind of like I can't think of the word, but it's like a majority maybe.
Right, like the dominant group.
Yeah, the dominant. So I think when it comes to organizational events, it's kind of mandatory that we start looking into how to make things actually feel more inclusive, in addition to some of the things that are going to happen in the event. But for instance, I am a Black woman, so I'm coming into an environment that may not feel culturally comfortable for me at an event. So maybe that's something that can be looked into. I hope I articulated that. It's in my mind, but I wasn't sure if I could get it out.
No, I think it's an awareness of like removing race, like thinking about ableist society and in able-bodied folks. And so if you're holding events in places where there's not an elevator or there's not a ramp, there's just stairs and there's barely any seating, you're not leaving space. If people who are organizing events or gatherings or work environments are not thinking about people who are not of a more dominant culture, that's like a physical limitation and barrier. But when you're talking about the kind of metaphysical, like the emotional, the sensing environment, that's a harder piece to put on, to put your finger on, to be like, this doesn't feel right and why. And that's where I think being aware of how we can kind of expand our understanding yet also impact the inclusion aspect is what can we do to make other people feel comfortable, particularly like I think especially if you're Thank you.
And one thing one thing came to my mind. Typically when a Black person goes to a hotel, in the restroom, in the ladies' room, there's going to be products there, and the shampoos are typically for European hair and things like that. So we're not thought of in that, scenario.
Right.
That was one, I think I heard that on a YouTube. So
Right.
those little things could make a difference.
Definitely. Or like at a drugstore where only hair products for people whose hair is curly or is African American hair, those are kept behind locked cabinets, but not the other hair products. That is also a subtle sign of lack of inclusivity.
All about celebrating everybody's differences.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I look at it. Another way is creating a safe space. Another way, especially when we have events, is to give out literatures in different languages.
Yeah.
Even though someone may speak English, I know Miches, who's on this call, is like, she speaks Spanish and she flows. Like, it just flows off her tongue. Like, sometimes I have to say, slowly, slow down, because, but then when she speaks English now, and I've been hearing that a lot, especially from the Spanish community, that's one of the things now that they're more appreciative that the INA offers the exams in Spanish. So it's easier for them. They're not struggling like a lot of them struggled when it was in English, because it takes them a longer time to read. So it also takes them a longer time to actually finish the exam. But now that it's in Spanish, it's at an advantage for them.
Absolutely. That's the process of making things equitable, not just equal. Equal is saying, here, everybody take this test in English. But equitable is saying, everybody take this test, but we're going to make it where it's a good starting line for everybody where they're at. And that's what the difference between equality and equitable is. People who only speak Russian do not need an English test. And we can say, well, we gave it to everybody. It's equal. But people speaking Russian exclusively don't need an English test. They need a Russian test. And I know that that's something Emily Rowland and who else? There's been people really working toward translating. And Minchis, I think you were a part of that too. And translating some of those tests into multiple languages. That's the way to make it equitable and inclusive. So yeah, we are at time. We're 3 minutes over, you guys. This has been so nice to catch up.
I think Miches has her hands up to speak at us.
Oh, you do? There's like an emoji. I thought it was on your wall.
No, that's a good one. It looks because I got so many things in my wall. Thank you, Kim. Yes, I wanted to say something about, like, in the same lines that Kim was saying, they have everyone, like, they have things in another languages, and sometimes we even can have like interpretation when we're doing these kind of events, and then we can have more people involved in the events. Yeah, that will be more like, and it will be, I don't know, I feel like it will be nicer because like more people get involved in the just not just the bubble they speak English, we will more bore the people that speak another languages to get involved when we have another interpretations. Yeah,
I love that. Wouldn't that be amazing if we could do that?
yes, and Zoom has the option. You can have interpretation, and you can have a special channel for the people that speak another languages and they are listening. And yeah, they do. Zoom is good with that. Yeah. Yes.
We'll add that. I'll definitely write that down and add it to the docket of the diversity meeting we have next week to talk about that for sure.
Yeah.
Or even maybe or something.
You're speaking of what the NDWA does, right? Like when they have their,
yes, they do.
A lot of organizations will have that with an earpiece, especially if you're in a big place. The problem is paying for translators or having somebody volunteer, because a couple of friends of mine actually are translators, and it's exhausting because
I know.
They're outputting in that.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that to say it's impossible. I'm saying it takes a lot of people to do it well all day for a couple of days. And I think that's definitely to look into. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
Okay, thank you. No, to you, thank you.
Yeah. Well, that's it, you guys. This is our time. I hope that you are doing well and making it, right? I think we're all trying to make it right now. And you're here, so you're making it. Like, congratulations. You don't have to do anything else besides that. Just make it. And I hope that you will join us for the summit. I'm super excited about that. I'm not really loving all these things being online. I really miss everybody, but I'm really looking forward to that just community that we will have that day, the summit in learning. As Sue said, the early bird, we're extending it a little bit just because of all the issues with people's Wi-Fi and internet. That's the same thing, electricity, and weather outages and things like that. So if you need more assistance on that, in the chat bar, and if you're watching on YouTube, Marsha is going to put the links when this gets uploaded to YouTube. But if you were on the chat, she posted the links at about 9:17 Eastern Standard Time, which I believe would be like 7:17 a.m. in India, and it's 6:17 p.m. in LA. We've got some people all across the map, but this will also be there. And yeah, we've got some good things coming up. The summit that's coming up, and some different panel on COVID and that we've held in the past, and some of the webinars that you might have missed. I know I've missed some. So, but yeah, it's been great to have you all. And we can do like a high five.
Thank you, Christa. It was really insightful
Yeah.
session.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, everyone.
So
Yeah,
nice.
thanks for everybody. Take care, all of you.
Hi, I'm excited for the summit too. I'm curious. Yeah, what everybody's working on.
So Christa,
Yeah, me
would
too.
you
I'm
get the
excited for the
information?
summit. Yes.
So maybe Marsha, actually, it is in the INA group. And then Marsha, would you put, maybe I can just copy and paste this. Look at this.
I can, yeah, it's up there, but it was a while ago. So
if you came in late, I don't think that it, it doesn't post it again. I'm sorry. I'll do it one more time. If you came in late, I don't think that Zoom lets you see the full chat.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yep, I know. So there, now I just posted it again. That's the summit, the service pin deadline that's coming up, and the Meritorious Service Award deadline coming up as well.
Yeah, and like Christa said, if you are one of the many people in this country, especially in the United States, dealing with weather issues or have dealt with weather issues and you missed that deadline, please reach out to us at memberservices@nanny.org. The price has gone up on our website, but we want to let you honor that early bird because we know there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Just need to reach out to us and we'll make it happen. So, and even if you missed the early bird, $125 is what it is for members, which is still a really good deal for everything that you're going to get for the day. The event in of itself is, the platform is different. It's unique. It's not just a Zoom meeting. You're going to have a lot of visuals and you're going to get to pop into a lounge room and click on someone that you know and have a face-to-face with them. And then you'll actually get those recordings of the sessions for up to 2 weeks afterwards. So we're excited about it. Of course, it's nothing like being together. And in 2021, we're planning for it. We're hoping everything is good.
Yeah, I'm excited about this platform, Marsha, because it's not like a Zoom, you guys. It's super interactive, and yeah, I'm psyched about.
Yeah, so it'll look like you're walking into a lobby, and it'll have our sponsor banners. You'll have looks like people are walking around, and you'll be able to click on something that says the auditorium, and it moves you into this room that is like an auditorium, and then you click on the screen and you get to choose what session you go to. You can click on the thing that says lounge, and that'll move you into this really cool looking space with like beanbag chairs and people sitting around talking, and you can choose to chat with one person face to face, or you can chat, text chat with like a group of people. And then there's an expo hall that has over 20 different vendors. And each of the vendors have been able to create their own like personalized booth. So they have, you know, picked a template and they've changed things and they have their own avatars, you know, they've selected avatars for that. And one of the really cool things that we haven't kind of announced yet, but we've had a lot of success with people coming and our budget's looking good. So we have added a game. So you're going to be able to, like, as you go through and you do all these different things, as you visit vendors, as you go to, you know, breakout sessions, as you chat with people in the lounge, you'll earn points. And if you get to a certain number of points, you're going to be put into a list, and we're going to give away 10 $50 gift cards to Amazon. So the idea is that you earn points by doing the stuff, and then maybe you'll earn some, you know, a little gift at the end. And so that'll be kind of fun, and we'll just have, it's going to be a fun day. So keep posted. If you have registered, keep posted, because the more, you know, I'm working with the VFairs team to get all of those details to you guys in a clear and concise way before you join for the day. But if you haven't registered, I highly recommend you do it. And again, if you are dealing with weather issues, just reach out to me, because we want to be able to honor that. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Thanks, Marcia.
Yeah.
So
Thanks,
helpful.
guys.
Nice to see all you guys and hear from you. It was so good to see you. Stay
Take
safe.
care, all of you.
Bye.
Thanks, Krista.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.